Here's another one of those great shots that Alex really likes.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
Originally, this was like a matte painting that we had him run toward, and then we eventually built it out into 3D.
No, isn't it still a painting?
No, that's actual geometry.
Oh, okay.
It looks great.
Yeah. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This, a lot of people were like, oh, you need to have enemies down here, because oh my god, I got so many arguments with people over that. It's like, every 5 steps, people wanted to fight something. And I think the fighting in this game is really good, but it's like, again, the whole goal was to make it feel like you're on an adventure, and it's like, sometimes I think it's kind of cool just to sort of...
Open a file cabinet.
No, but yeah, I'm saying it's cool just to kind of be in the world and be in the space and just exist in it and not always be balls to the walls action, but, you know, that may just be me.
This guy was actually one of the first non-player characters that we came up with.
The body burner guy?
The body burner guy. This whole scene was written very early. It didn't change at all.
No.
And
people either love this guy's voice or they hate it. Some people are like...
We really struggled with recording it. We had him do it 1,000 different ways, and it was finding that balance between being really bored. He was supposed to be like sort of...
Like, see, I've seen 1,000 people come into the temple, you're no special.
Yeah. It just was very hard to get across.
Yeah.
He's one of the few people who isn't impressed by Kratos at all.
Right.
By the way, since Cory's here, the combat animations during the God mode when you use the Rage of Athena, they're just great. It really feels like you're swinging those blades around.
Yeah. Cory wasn't phoning it in that day.
Yeah. That's when he was inspired.
Those are actually all animations that we threw out.
Let me just tell you this, though, about Cory, not to kiss Cory's ass, but we had some...
Pucker up, baby.
No, listen, seriously, this is important, because we actually had some amazing animators at the beginning of this game. In fact, one of the guys went on, I can't say the movie, but he went on to work on this amazing movie. He's a phenomenal animator. It really taught me, though, that there's a real big difference between movie animators and game animators. And I'm not saying that they can't swap or they can't become one or the other, but there's such a philosophical difference that, you know, when you see this one guy that we originally had, his animations, that were just pure animations, they were amazing. But for whatever reason, they never quite gelled with animations that you wanted the player to be controlling. And Cory and some of his guys that he worked with, that he brought in, once they came on board, it was such a clear shift in how good it felt to control Kratos and how good it felt to sort of fight with this guy that it was just amazing. And it was such an amazing lesson for me that, you know, if you're hiring animators, it's not just about how good they are at animating, it's how good they are at animating interactive, which is a big difference. I'm assuming you would agree.
Yeah, it takes a couple of games behind you, I think, of sort of figuring out how you're going to get through it. I had worked with a bunch of people that were really, really good at doing a lot of fighting game animations. They had made many fighting games in the past. And even the first game, when they were showing me what to do, I still didn't grasp it. I had to make my mistakes over several games before I sort of understood the style that I wanted to adapt and how it is you can actually get animation translating to control to work, sort of that synergy.
That's right.
We like to say.
That's right.
Really make the player feel involved, which it does.
This was actually the very first level that we built for this game, and this is where, I mean, the game was really looking for its heart, I guess, sort of what it was, and this is where I had the producer. She would come up to me many times and go, I think I mentioned this earlier in the commentary, no one knows what the game is, what's the game? And this was really about finding the game, and we added rooms and cut off rooms and added traps, and
this room went through so many iterations of like what enemies were in here, how you would get through it.
There was a ballista, a rotating ballista at one point.
Was it really? There was a ballista in this room?
Yeah,
in the middle.
In the middle with 3 bridges and the hole. This is also the scene of the first in-game sort of cinematic.
Oh yeah, we used to have other red shirt. We had like guys fighting each other, like good guys and bad guys, and
we had a Cyclops burst into the room.
But again, you don't know, and it's just, you know, I kind of felt like I wasn't doing my job at one time because people were coming in and saying, "Oh, you need to do detailed maps with where all the enemies go and all this," and I'm like, I could see that working in a sequel, or I could see that working when you've already made a game like this before. But when you don't even have your AI working or functioning, and people are saying, "Where does the AI go? What exactly do they do?" It's like, it's just a guess, you know. You really don't know.
Hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Making games is just a guess.
First time?
First time.
Absolutely. Well, it was the exact same experience. I mean, the only other thing I can compare it to is when I did Twisted Metal, because that's the only other game that was sort of new. I had worked on a racing game and a platformer game, but that I had no clue what the game was. And I was working with those guys in the same way. We were all just kind of fumbling around in the dark trying to go, is this what the game is? And maybe there are guys out there that can tell you right off the bat what the game is when they've never made that kind of game before, but I'm certainly not one of those kind of guys. And it was frustrating, but I think it turned out. I really love this level. It's a really good one.
Yeah, and it really is. You can tell it was the first level because it has almost every element that we have. It has rope climbing, it has wall climbing, it has this Ares door, it has crushers.
I think this is that part that you were discussing earlier
Oh,
about
this is
how
the frame rate part. Yeah, if you watch the frame rate, or if you
it's
play
just like
it,
a faucet of enemies that
yeah,
can drop
we're
down.
just dumping enemies in.
One of our designers, Joe, had this very funny idea that the conveyor belt out in the desert that you saw earlier should be sucking in all these guys, and this is where they're landing.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
Well, mostly because we also told a lot of Jaffe
interesting
jokes, which we
anecdote.
talked about.
I understand. That was great. So, anyway, but check it out, though. Look at the frame rate. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just choppy. It's terrible. It's like it's running on a PlayStation 1 or something. But, again, people seem to have a lot of fun with it, and that's really all that matters end of the day. So,
I think there were originally even more enemies.
well, this is it's edited. There's a lot more.
And this was a situation where I think when I first started here, this was probably the only level that was fully fleshed out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like at least that I had seen when I first got here. Everybody was kind of working on this. It was really close to E3, and everyone was really. It was right after Tokyo Game Show,
All right.
and we were kind of transitioning after that, and everybody was preparing for a sort of E3 rush that was a bit impending.
That was a pain. Getting ready for trade shows is a pain. I mean, it's exciting when you're there. E3 this year was great.
This
Yeah.
is great.
We got such great response from this game. It was so exciting to be one of the games people were talking about.
And even more than that, just to see people lined up. And we had more kiosks than I've ever had at a game at E3 before, but people were lined up waiting to play.
Yeah.
And people
that was the
finished
most gratifying.
the entire demo. So many people finished the whole thing.
I saw a guy sitting on the floor cross-legged, playing like he was in his living room.
And that's one of the things about games. That's really the only time you get to see people playing your game, because it's obviously, it's not like a movie where you put all your heart and soul into this and then it goes out and you have no clue where people are getting stuck or what they like or what they don't like. Mm-hmm. And it's almost kind of anticlimactic because you don't have a big opening night and you don't have, your weekend box office. You just kind of finish the game and you're kind of done. And every now and then you'll check in with the sales and see how you're doing. But so E3 is really the only time when you make a game that you really actually get to watch people show up and respond and laugh. Hopefully, if they like it, in this case they seem to, they get to laugh and,
tell their friends. You
tell
can
their
see
friends
people
this
talking
is
on the
cool.
floor about it, which
Yeah,
is great.
that's really awesome. But yeah, when this game comes out, I'll be on the message boards constantly for like a week, just
Stirring up fights.
I will be stirring up fights, but I'll be hitting the refresh button over and over and over, just wanting to see, do they like it, do they hate it, are we selling copies, and it's an exciting time, but it's also scary. But what do you think will sell the first week? Here's the trick: if we don't sell over about 100,000 units in the first week, in my mind, we're kind of screwed, because sort of historically, you might be a hit, but it's not much of a hit. Mm-hmm. And so I have a fantasy that we're going to do about 110,000 units in the first in the first week, but that could just be me wishful thinking.
Well, I know like 2 or 3 people for sure who are going to buy it.
Well, we're on our way. We're on our way. 2 or 3 people, we're set.
Alex
I
is
can tell my wife to
single-handedly
put that down
contributing to
payment on
that
the house
100,000.
now.
I wrote.
Alex knows 2 or 3 people.
I sent out some emails.
Right.
A little low-level marketing. He's taking care of
That's
for
right
us.
there. Whatever. Every sale.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, look at all those guys in the wall. They look like little roaches.
I have to say that it's more fun than it was, but the wall combat still isn't my favorite.
The wall combat is one of those things, kind of like the desert, where the concept of the wall combat. Oh, look at that combo he's racking up. Jeez. Wow, there's a good cheat.
I think Rob was playing this.
Man. But
Yeah,
the wall
nice.
combat conceptually, the rope combat conceptually, I absolutely love. I love the idea that you get to interact with the enemies, and it's very adventure-y and all that. But I agree, it isn't. It probably could have been a more satisfying experience. That
I think it's good in the sense that it keeps the game unrelenting. Like, if you jump on a rope, it doesn't mean all the enemies are just going to sit there and watch you. And you
Right.
just relax. You're going to have to fight, but the actual execution sometimes isn't as...
Let's talk about this, though. I mean, is anyone going to listen to this commentary? Let's analyze that for a moment. Do you think, here we are halfway through the commentary, maybe a little more than that, do you think there's somebody out there right now? I mean, think about this. We could communicate, possibly, with somebody...
Aliens.
With aliens. With somebody who bought this game and they bought this strategy guide. I mean, that's kind of cool, but I mean, how many people do you think are actually listening to this?
I think if someone's really into the game, they're going to be desperate for any content that's out there. Because once you finish the game, that's it. You can play the God mode, and I'm sure people who are... It's going to be those people who play hard mode, then God mode, then all the other things that can be unlocked.
It's the 110,000 people that bought the game in the first week.
Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't that be something?
We'll be reading about you guys on the message board, so tell us what you think of this commentary.
Yeah, let us know. Is it stupid? Is it cool? Is it annoying?
Originally, we wanted commentary throughout the game
Yeah.
that you actually play.
Just no
It's very
time.
difficult. And there's room issues on the disc, too.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's a cool concept to be able to play through the game and change the audio track so that it kind of talks you through key points.
Yeah, that
It's
was
a
the
neat
original
concept.
plan. We just couldn't do it.
There's a game out there that does that, and I think you'll be seeing more and more of that.
Did you play that game?
Yeah, I played it. I didn't
That
play
unnamed game?
The unnamed, you
unnamed
can't
game.
mention it, but...
I
Did you
did, but
play
I
it
didn't
with the
play it with the
commentary?
commentary, no. But at least it's an initial attempt to...
And the other question is, do people care? I mean, I love movies, and I love listening to commentaries and learning how they made the movies and stuff, but...
Everything I've read from people about that game in particular, they love it.
They love it?
Yeah, it's a real sort of eye-opening experience.
It's just tough to know, are people as interested in how games are made as they are in how movies are made?
But I think some people don't even listen to DVD commentary.
No, most people probably don't. You're right. Plus, I mean, obviously with movies, you have like stars doing commentary. It's probably, it's definitely more interesting to be listening to, like, can I even name a star? I can't even say a star's name.
Can't even name a star.
Imagine a star, people listening.
A
It's
really popular person.
A really popular person talking.
And then imagine
me
Dave,
and
who's
Alex
like
and
the
Cory
antithesis
and,
of a popular
yeah,
person.
I'm so loved here. Can't you guys tell? God.
I'm a superstar.
Yeah, Alex is a superstar.
He really is.
This I love. I love this.
This
I mean,
is a huge effort.
It was a huge
in
effort.
terms of the animation team, the tech art team, and the coding team. And I remember being peripherally aware of it and then thinking, why are they going through so much trouble for such a simple little
for
thing?
ripping the skull off.
Yeah. And you were just committed to having that be a thing that you actually did instead of just a movie that you watched.
And I love that. I mean, I think it makes you feel like you're more in the world. So if you hit R2 there and he just ripped the skull off, I mean, it's nowhere for me. I mean, it's subjective, but for me, it's nowhere near as cool.
But to Kratos, victory was...
This is the first time we really saw the 2D, 3D approach to the movies, which was, I think, a great idea. I think it worked out really well.
Yeah. At first, we didn't think we were going to have any 3D, so it was like a financial thing. We couldn't afford it.
And then for a brief period, we thought, why don't we just go all 3D?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It worked out. No, I dig those movies. They're cool.
Yeah.
Dave left because he got really upset with Alex, talking
once.
over all the things he was saying. So now it's just going to be us three.
For once, it was Dave doing the leading.
Yeah, so now we can talk a little bit about how Todd designed some of these things.
Oh, I was the puppet master.
Right.
And he was the puppet.
Right.
Very manipulative.
How you truly manipulated him to get all the things. This is actually Todd Papy's God of War.
Well, I think the biggest thing was that biggest problem that we had with the core was the pacing. Going through and with this area, we couldn't have any enemies because the way the level was built, the memory constraints, and so leaving those levels and then coming in here and trying to figure out what you do next. The player was having too much downtime and the pacing was going to shit. So.
And it's somewhat of a confusing level at first,
Yeah.
so you're kind of always trying to figure out what's going on.
So, hey, let's talk about, what's next? What are we
Talk
doing
about
next?
some of the exploration of swimming.
Okay, we'll talk
Yeah,
about
swimming.
Look at Cory change. Okay, well, let's talk about swimming.
Swimming was a huge issue on this.
People did not like the swimming. I love the swimming. Again, I think the swimming makes it. Again, it goes back to the keyword adventure-y. I think it's
Or epic.
or
Keyword you made up, adventure.
No, but I keep saying it's like, there's reasons. People are like, oh, swimming's boring. It's like, okay, maybe this game isn't for you. It's just like, I don't want to just fight. I want to do things. I want to be in the world. And I think swimming makes it feel like you're really exploring. So,
Climbing and swinging, all of those things.
it is. I like them. I dig them. Okay, so this is actually the second day that we're doing this commentary track. Cory, the lead animator, is now on his vacation, and Tim Moss, who was the lead programmer of God of War, is now here with us. So
Cory, you bastard.
Cory left.
Yeah,
He
lucky
abandoned us.
dog.
He was like, I don't want any part of this because we can probably say this. We can say that Cory is directing the next Sony Santa Monica internal game. We can't say what that game is yet, but I won't be directing it, and Cory will be. So I guess we should have him talk about that yesterday. But oh well.
Hopefully, he'll be a lot nicer than you as well.
You know what? That will be interesting. It will be very interesting. I would love to see how other people do that job. It was definitely a challenge for me. I'd be curious if he's, I don't know if better is the right word, if he just approaches it differently. So me and Alex are going today to go look at the commercial. They're shooting the TV commercial for God of War today, which is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Tim was upset because there was no gameplay footage in the commercial, but I think it'll still be pretty awesome.
I agree with Tim.
Do you agree with Tim?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the best TV commercials are the ones with footage. So
Yeah, but if you look at if the TV commercials are 30 seconds, like you talked about the Ratchet and Clank commercials, they're cool commercials, but you see about 8 seconds of gameplay, and it goes so fast, you don't even know what you're looking at.
look at that certain Streetwise game with the entirely gameplay footage commercials. With
You thought that was effective?
I thought they were very, very good.
That was the one where they were playing
Very,
opera
very
over it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great commercial, and the game sold staggeringly well as a result of it.
Yeah, it's tough to know. I mean, it's tough to know when you get on a TV commercial. I mean, I can see people who aren't hardcore gamers digging the stuff that's not pure gameplay, whereas obviously the hardcore game players are going to want to see what they're paying $40 or $50 for. But
I mean, we spent the entire project going for a cinematic look. You would think it would be pretty easy to make a really good commercial out of that, and
Yeah, our teaser.
films that we've used as inspiration.
We've done that with our hammers. We've
you can say that. You can say that. Our teasers have gameplay.
Yeah, and they're very cinematic, as Tim said, and they fit really well.
I think they're the ones doing the gameplay commercial, just the pure gameplay.
I think that one's probably going to end up being the most effective.
Right. We shall see.
So we never really even talked about this room, but this room had one puzzle in it, which was really good.
What room?
The one that we were just looking at in Hades Hall.
The light?
No, the one where you have to kill all the centaurs.
Oh, yeah,
circles.
Oh, yeah,
Sacrifice
yeah. Well, I was working with Joe, who's one of the designers, who's also Tim's girlfriend. And we were sitting there going, God, it's just another big room with fights in it, and what can we do to make it different? And I think Joe came up with that idea. I think she was like, let's sort of force the fight into a certain area, and yeah, it ended up working really well. And then later in Hades, we were going to have those circles actually moving around, and you had to kind of chase the circles around and all that, but we ended up just not having the time. And
God, I would have been like cursing you as I tried to play that.
was that hard for you, the circle?
No, this one actually worked out better for me than I thought. I was
Really?
actually able to do it without Tim coming over to help play it for me.
It's interesting too. I've been reading, you read on the net about people starting to talk about the AI a little bit, and some people really like it, and some people are like, oh, the AI is not really smart. And I'm like, I mean, even if we had all the money all the time and the best AI programmer in the whole world, in this kind of game, I mean, I don't know if you want AI, employing all of these, like, tactics and stuff. I mean, I think it totally would kill the pacing of the game. It makes every encounter feel like you're playing, against a really good guy in a fighting game or something.
We started with a completely different idea of how the AI was going to work. If you remember, we started from.
Well, what you
and in
mean?
the
We
end,
started.
it didn't turn
We
out to
started
be-
with our AI being smarter.
We started with our AI being smarter. Doing kind of full-on pitch battles and fighting each other and all kinds of stuff. And then in the end, it didn't really work out for the game we were making.
Yeah.
Well, even if we did generals or something like that, where you have a general skelly and he controls the other skellies, then I think that would help. Well, even if we did generals or something.
I think
like
you
that,
notice it if it's like that idea.
Yeah,
like
but
I'm trying to think of some other
General
games, which I guess I
he
won't
controls
mention.
the other skills.
I'll mention.
I think that would have helped. Something
Where
similar.
they would have kind of a guard and then a junkyard dog that would come and attack you.
But I think, I was thinking of Medieval, which thank God is another Sony game, which I thought was pretty cool, where they had a guy who, he was like a sorcerer, and when you knock down all the little minions, if you didn't take him out, he would kind of do a chant and bring those guys back to life. So I think when you have, it's almost like a big idea like that, sort of an iconic concept. I think that in the speed of a game like this comes across. But I guess I'm talking more about, the AI take cover, or they flank you from behind, or they...
But I think some situations arise as I was playing, like I'd get into a crowd and there'd be a Medusa, and she'd freeze me, and she has a little bit of a pause before she goes to smash you, but the other AI don't necessarily, and they would come and smash me.
But that's kind of cool.
Which is, I'm saying, is cool, which made me realize I had to kill her. If I was ever in a crowd with a Medusa, it was important to kill her first.
Yeah, no, that stuff like that's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely cool. And when they grab you from behind, it would have been nice if the AI, like some of the skeletons can grab you, if then the AI would kind of come up and attack you. So I think maybe there's a level where it can be communicated and the player gets it, and then you get into some of the more subtle aspects of the AI, and it's just like no one's going to notice that. So maybe if we make another one of these, that would be cool if that kind of stuff got incorporated.
I think we'll have a better idea where to go next time. I mean, a lot of this project, not only the AI, was a process of exploration for all of us.
Oh, I know.
We learned a hell of a lot doing it.
This is very true. This was one of the first puzzles I wrote on paper like 3 years ago, and just...
I found it another unfortunate but funny thing that Cory and his group spent a ton of time getting that, and Tim's group, getting that underwater lever pull to work correctly.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a generic
That's
thing
the only
that we were
time
going to
you
use
see
a
it.
lot.
But that's what's so cool about this. I love that part about this game.
But there's a whole underwater level later
where we don't ever use the underwater levers ever again.
Well, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, the modularity. So, I mean, or the lack of modularity in aspects of the game. Yeah, I mean...
But there's levers everywhere, so I don't think it would be breaking.
All I can tell you is doing the level design at least. I mean, me and Todd did the swim tubes together, and that may have actually been designed before that lever, so we just didn't include anything.
No, I don't think it was. No. That lever was almost
it was one of the
first underwater section we did. Was that statue?
Huh.
But also,
why.
also with the swim tubes, though. No,
that thing
that's the first. Used to be probably double or triple the size that it was.
Oh my god, it was torturous.
But also was
Oh, the
really
swim tubes,
not
yeah. And there used to be a breath meter. We'll talk about that when we get to it, I guess.
Probably
But
double to triple the size that it was.
we already passed the swim
was.
tubes.
Don't you know your own game?
I do, but I didn't see any swim tube
Yeah.
stuff on those. Was there any? Oh, I must have been. I went to go to the bathroom yesterday.
We've already passed.
I guess that's what you guys were doing.
Level 3.
Whatever. But, no, because
He just admired
It's
it.
actually,
no,
it's actually
just-
kind of fun watching someone else play.
what I'm actually thinking is
I
I'm
think
kind of
this is Rob.
thinking that it's almost like, and as I said yesterday, it's not the smartest way to design a game, but I was almost thinking of it more like when you were writing a script or a story, and it's like, I can't imagine writing a story where it's like, oh, I wrote a scene where, I have a big truck in it. I got to use that truck again somewhere in the scene. Although I guess in movies they do that for budget reasons. It's like, well, we paid $1 gajillion for the... Let's use it more than 1 or 2 scenes or sets. That's true.
It's more like, hey, the advertiser wants...
Okay, well, we'll bleep that out. But big car, tricked out big car is what we were talking about. Man. Can you imagine a world where, like, legal, like, there's, like, if, like, everything was, like, totally...
The way it should be, as opposed to complete bullshit.
No. But if you had to live in a world where you were always worried about legal, what is that? White orbs?
No, they're blue. That's just a TV.
Where you couldn't.
Oh, you didn't know, Dave? We put in a new orb system.
Yeah, I know. Where you couldn't say those should have been the orbs and the twins in the minigame. But
that would have been kind of strange.
Yeah, because the rest of it makes so much sense.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's just that whole sequence design.
The twins.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, we put the twins in there, and I was debating should we keep it or not, and we had the testers in San Diego call us. Can we say San Diego?
Did you use the correct terminology that we have referred to that minigame as?
I don't know.
During this commentary?
I don't know what you would have.
The track and fuck minigame.
No, I haven't. It was
internally,
originally.
it's been known as the track and fuck minigame.
Yeah,
the
that's right.
entire project.
But we can't actually say what Track and Fuck's referring to because it's a game that Sony doesn't own. There are no games out there except the one Sony makes. But in the San Diego testers call and they're like, dude, you have to keep that in. We're like, well, it's kind of cheesy. Maybe we should take that out. And they're like, dude, it's so awesome. And they didn't even want to have a circle above the bed, so they just wanted people to discover it. But
The best thing of all about that minigame is that no one will ever know the animation that is actually being done.
That's right. That's right.
We should put that on here. We should
Well,
capture it.
I don't know if Primo will let us do that.
It
That
would
great.
have been absolutely fantastic.
And what's great is if you get the alternate costume if
Yeah,
you're
the
playing.
cow.
If you're playing in the cow suit and then you pull the camera back to actually see the cow.
It is one of the more amusing things,
Yeah.
which
Right.
no one will ever be able to see.
Oh, we got it. Okay, so I guess we're going into the Minotaur boss. We'll look at that in the next
Next chapter.
next segment.
See, we actually reused that spin.
The spin crank. See,
And
there
the
you go.
stairs are everywhere.
That's right. The next game will have like 2 mechanics. We'll just use those over and over.
Your freeze mechanic game.
That'd be cool. All right, so this is obviously the Minotaur boss, which was the first boss that we designed for the game. And oh my god, this thing took...
This was a pain in the arse.
It was, and it took forever to figure out what the hell it was. All I knew from the very beginning was it was remember my stage 1, stage 2 drawings?
Yeah.
Those might be in the strategy guides because I sent those to Prima for concept art. But I knew it was a Minotaur encased in armor, and I knew that there was this whole big log concept where I wanted to shatter the armor and ultimately pin him against the wall. And so we went through a couple of different designers trying to figure out, based on that, what this gameplay would be. And eventually, it actually... All I'll say, and I can't say the game they worked on, but we got an animator and we got 2 designers from this company that doesn't make, I mean, and it's not, I don't even know it's their fault because they always have budgetary limits and time limits, but they've put out some pretty shitty games. And you would think that the people you would get from those companies aren't going to be very good. And these guys came in on this boss and just tore it up. I mean, they worked with one of our programmers and it was great, you know. So my point to this is you just get the right people and they make it work. But the second thing is it is amazing. It's like when you're trying to hire people for a team, you can't always look at the games that they've worked on as the only criteria because there's so many reasons why a game might suck or might be great that just to sort of look at it and go, oh, you worked on a shitty game, you must be shitty too, is I think a real big mistake. I mean, a lot of people on this team worked on some real shitty games before this game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reasons they were shitty was, well, yeah, I mean, but it was time, right? You guys just didn't have the time.
Yeah, a lot of it was the time constraints and budget, but you just do the best that you can in that time frame and hope for the best. And
that's been the one thing about this project that has made it better than any previous one I've ever worked on, is that finally after all this time we got to do exactly what we wanted, and that, you know, we're incredibly lucky to have had the opportunity.
Yeah, they were very patient.
Which is just, I think it's both developers' fault and it's publishers' fault. It's developers' fault maybe because by this point developers should have learned, look, you really need to design your game around the time that you have versus trying to squeeze a lot into something.
But even that isn't really true because we didn't design the game around the time we had. We just made the time we had work for the game we wanted to
No,
play.
but our situation was a little different because I mean we knew going in that we were going to be able to kind of get a lot of luxury and freedom. But I'm saying that we got to wrap up. We'll talk about this in the next chapter because we're running out of time.
Just like developing a game.
Poor Minotaur. Oh shit! That was a sound effect from a game. Can I do that?